Hey everybody, it's your boy Jack here. Welcome to the 4-Minute Film Reviews episode 2. Today in this video I'm going to be doing a 4-minute film review on Murder on the Orient Express. For those of you who haven't watched a 4-minute film review before, I'm going to be doing in 4 minutes or less, I'm going to be talking about one film. With that film, I'm going to be talking about 4 different points. Each point's going to get a minute, therefore constituting a 4-minute film review. Some of these points are stuff that I like, some of this stuff that I hate, some of this stuff's a bit of a criticism, and everything in between. So let's dive into it. So let's dive into our first point. So point number 1. The whole film itself is predictable. That's the biggest problem with this film. Just looking at the film, looking at the trailers and everything, it's pretty much a straightforward film. And they basically tell you that. Really the only parts that aren't really predictable is the beginning and parts of the middle where, like, Josh Gad, I think it was Josh Gad's character that goes down into, like, the rafters and stuff on the actual, like, tunnel part. Besides that, it was pretty straightforward. Like, you have the whole idea of conflict between one another of, okay, who killed him? And then you have, like, the big grand reveal that, like, they all killed him. That's the biggest problem for me with this film, is that it's a very predictable, straightforward plot. I would have loved to see them do more and, like, try to bend the actual, like, film itself to become a bit more interesting and a bit more, less predictable. So yeah, that was my first point. Let's dive into point number 2. Point number 2. The biggest problem with this film is that there's too many backstories. That's one thing I'll say, is that you have a huge list of A-list actors. You have Daisy Ridley, Johnny Depp, Josh Gad, Penelope Cruz, Michelle Pfeiffer, Judi Dench, all these great, really amazing actors who have been really well known. And you get this in this great cast, but they all really feel like forefronting characters. Like, the way that they develop them and everything, you don't really get a whole sense of like hierarchy among them. You don't really get a whole sense of, okay, this person or maybe that person could have killed them. Like, there's no real mystery in that. You just really get a whole straightforward backstory that you really, I feel that you can't really understand. And that's the biggest problem for me, is like the failure to show or establish a key hierarchy among the people who have killed, like among the killers, was the biggest problem, because they didn't create enough mystery there. So yeah, that's about it. Let's dive into point number 3. Point number 3. The biggest problem with this film is that they fail to establish Michelle Pfeiffer as the key person here, the key killer, the key person who orchestrated it all. For those of you who haven't seen the movie or forget a bit, Michelle Pfeiffer reveals at the end of the movie that she orchestrated this whole, like, plot to kill Johnny Depp's character, and all these people beside her are the side characters and the accomplices that helped kill her. And that's the biggest problem with this film, is that they should have really established Michelle Pfeiffer as a key character here. They shouldn't have had, like, such a mystery going on, and really, instead of establishing Daisy Ridley's character, they should have established Michelle Pfeiffer's character. Arguably, they established Daisy Ridley's character a lot more, and a lot more relevant to the actual murder itself compared to Michelle Pfeiffer, which they should have done, in my opinion, just because Michelle Pfeiffer would have had the really strong acting abilities, but Michelle Pfeiffer herself, her character is more justified in the sense of the story. So yeah, let's dive into point number 4. Point number 4, this should have been a TV miniseries. This should have never, in my opinion, been a movie. The main reason of this being is because, like, there's just too much going on to justify a good constructed story. This should have always just been a TV miniseries. This being because in a miniseries or a limited event where you have between 6 to 12 episodes, you could have really dove into a lot of these characters, why they would have wanted to kill them, have actual really good character profiles rather than having them compete in a 2-hour time span rather than a 12-hour time span. And that's the one thing I'll say, is that overall they should have done it in a TV miniseries, because it would have further developed a lot of these characters. You could have seen Michelle Pfeiffer more as Michelle Pfeiffer's character is more dominant. You could have seen the detective and how he would have interacted between them all. You would have seen a lot more in order to justify the ways and the means of the story itself. So yeah, that's it. That's all 4 points. Let's dive into the conclusion. So overall, how I sort of feel about this movie is that I felt like it was a short movie. I felt like, they didn't really investigate a lot of time. It was a very predictable, like, straightforward plot. They really failed to establish Michelle Pfeiffer as the main, like, villain, sorta. Overall, though, the TV miniseries I think would have been a really interesting concept. I would love to see if somebody picks it up. But yeah, overall, Murder on the Orient Express, it's an interesting movie. Love to hear what you think about this movie down below in the comments. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching the 4-Minute Film Reviews episode 2. If you want to check out episode 1, it's on the end screen here. Down below, feel free to subscribe if you want to see more 4-minute film reviews. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. My name is Shaq Skinner. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do whatever you want to do. Just be nice about it if you don't mind. And yeah, have a great day. And I will do another 4-minute film review in the future. Bye!